So what we're going to do is reattach the tire to the tubeless rim without using soapy water. A lot of people use soapy water to seal the edge of the tire and the rim to get the air locked inside the tire to pop the bead up onto the shelf. But I've noticed that water and the soap tend to go between the tire and the rim, and it starts to dilute the stands sealant. But this way we're going to use is just the tire lever, and we'll get this tire onto the rim, and we'll air it up. But first thing you want to do is just get the first side of the tire onto the rim. And then once you have the tire halfway on the rim, just put it back on your bike. In this case, it's just the back tire. You can do it either way, front or back. Okay, now that you know that the bike tire is on the frame properly, you don't need to really tighten that because we're going to be taking the rim off once we actually pop the beads onto the shelf. So what you do over here, just, use the tire lever. And what you want to do, instead of just like how you normally do, is you just push this into the valley of the rim, but you don't want to do that on this particular case because you want this bead to just barely go over the rim wall so it rests right on that edge. There's a bead shelf right past it, and that's what you want it to rest on, and that's what locks the air in place without having to use that soapy water. You just start it with your finger, and you grab the curved edge of the bike lever, the tire lever, and you just put it on the inside of the rim and fold back so it pushes that tire on the inside of the rim. And you can fine tune it by, if you're doing it too much, you can pull back, or if you're doing it too little where it's wanting to come back over the rim, pull back a little bit. And the further you go, the tighter it will feel because you have all that tire resting on the bead shelf, so it's going to have a lot of resistance. But once you get to the point where it feels like it's getting too tight, hold this side over here so it doesn't keep slipping over there, and just continue trying to get that tire onto the rim. And then once it's this close, you can probably just use your fingers. And for the most part, it should be on the rim. Okay, and then after you have that, give it a quick spin, and what that does is it gets the sealant, uses the centrifugal force and pushes the sealant on the outer edge of the tire, and then eventually it'll seep down and get over to where the tire and the rim meet. And that's what you really want to do, is get that sealant everywhere, just so it can help seal those holes. It kind of does the same effect as the soapy water, except that you're not using the soapy water. Once you think it's done enough spinning, you get your air compressor or your bike pumper or whatever you have, and see if it'll air up. If it doesn't air up, then what you might have to do is use your tire lever and go on the inside, but this time you have the curved edge pointing towards the tire itself, because you want to, almost like you want to pull off the tire off of the rim, but you're not really going to pull the tire off the rim. What you're doing is just pulling it onto the shelf. So you barely have this where it doesn't want to go over the rim, but it just wants to pull it up against that bead shelf, because you just want it as tight as possible in there. And you just keep doing that and try airing it up until it starts popping on its own. And let's just see if it pops on its own. Okay, what I'm going to do is try, since it didn't pop on its own, what you want to do, like I said, expose the edge of the tire, pull it out. See how I almost want to pull it off the rim, but I don't want to go all the way. Just pull slowly around just to get that creeping up against the bead shelf. And just do a full revolution. And just to be safe, you can do it both sides, just to make sure that it's on the bead shelf or close to it in most parts of the tire. Okay, and do the other side. You want to be careful when you are airing up your tire not to overfill it, because I've actually had a situation where I accidentally wasn't paying attention and I added too much air and it literally exploded in my face, and the tire popped off the rim and also bent up the rim. It actually put it out of alignment, so I had to re-true it, which took another hour and a half of truing rim just because I wasn't paying attention. I put too much air inside the rim. But what I do is probably keep airing it until you hear at least a pop from the bead going under the shelf, or about 35 pounds, whatever comes first. Once you have about 35 pounds in it, then you just take it off the bike and shake it around. Make sure you seal all the cracks between the rim and the tire. Make sure all the air leaks are disappearing, and then you should be able to continue riding. And sometimes if you bounce the rim also, if you bounce the rim, sometimes that'll actually pop the tire and make those beads show also. It sounds like this doesn't have any leaks, and then you're good to go.